Nicole, we keep finding ourselves not only talking to each other, but reasons to talk to each other. Back-to-back Walter Cup champions. When you and I first started talking about this, you were like, I don't really know how to act, been Olympic teams and things like that. Do you know how to act about it this year?
Yeah, I think second time around got a little bit better feel of how you celebrate with the cup, and it was a really cool experience. In some ways similar to the first time, and in some ways a lot different. So, it was a really fun run, and just kind of excited to once again have the chance to share Walter with Denver.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about being in Denver, and we have to talk about the final in particular, but you guys' run in general. But I think it was February of last year. Mm-hmm. I met you in Ottawa, and the season had just gotten going, and that was kind of what we were talking about. Of like, okay, well, you spent this whole time getting the league pulled together. What's it like? And I can't believe that we're sitting here talking over the Walter Cup for the second time in a row. I can't imagine how you're feeling. What has it been like the last 2 years?
It's honestly been a dream come true. I think we've been waiting and pushing and working for a league that reflects what we put into the game, and to finally have the backing and just the ability to share our game with the world. Mm-hmm. It's been really cool to see. I'm obviously partial to our fans in Minnesota, and to see the backing that our team has, and how many people are fans and just want to be a part of it. And it's been amazing. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else. So.
Yeah. Is it one of those things where has it exceeded your expectations, or like when we talked when you came to Denver of like, no, I knew this is what it was going to be. We just needed, like you said, the opportunity to show everyone. Yeah,
I think I still feel that way. I mean, even as it's grown and we've done the takeover games in different places, and we've seen how strong our fan base is and how strong every single fan base that has a team is. And now with expansion, like, I think we all as players knew that this kind of thing was possible if we could get the right people to believe in us and to believe in the sport. And, I think the way the last 2 years have gone just proves that, we were right to bet on ourselves.
Yeah. And again, like the first year, like I just remember talking to so many folks and it being a lot of like whoa, this is pretty awesome. This is fun to watch. And the conversation around it, from my perspective, from like the media perspective, was so different from year one to year two. I imagine it was the same for you, but I have to also imagine that the team camaraderie, being comfortable in the league, playing, the schedule that you did, I had to imagine that took a step in the second year as well.
Yeah, I think having a year under your belt and kind of understanding how the travel works, what to expect, and not only were all of us kind of rookies in a lot of ways in the league, but so were all of our staff. It was a lot of people's first times doing all of this, whether it's, like booking the flights, the hotels, the meals, all of that stuff on the road, like what's best for recovery when you play like 3-4 nights a week. Like that was all very new to staff and players alike. So this year to have a staff with it under their belt and us with it under our belt to know, even what you need individually and also what's best for the team leading up to important games and things like that. I think, it was kind of cool to you do get into a routine and understand how it all works. And I think we played 24 games year one, and then they added 6 more this year. So just having an understanding of how to handle those things, I think, I can't say it was an advantage for us because every team had that, but it's definitely been steps in the right direction all over the place.
Has it changed you as a player?
I think you kind of change your summer preparation is a bit different now. Like we're used to having kind of starting in August or September, and now it's more, you don't really need to be ready till November. So we've like shifted the calendar back a couple months. So I feel like really anxious right now that it's July and I haven't started skating.
Yeah, you're sitting here talking to me. And
yes,
not on the ice,
I'm not on the ice right now, but it's like, no, you're fine. I have to keep reminding myself, like, it's a long year, and you kind of have to figure out how to mentally and physically prepare for that.
I'm glad you said mentally, because that was something I wanted to talk to you about. Because again, like going back to when you and I were chatting in Ottawa last year, like that was one thing that I remember you bringing up of, you play your games and your tournaments and stuff throughout the year, but your focus is on, world championships, Olympics, or whatever. And, it's a smaller, pool of games and you're working towards that. How has the mental side of all this changed for you, let alone, and once we, get into the playoffs and stuff like that, but just having that little bit more of a grueling schedule. And I'm assuming games are only going to be added as the league expands and all that.
Yeah, I think like it's in some ways it's a good thing, because when you've played a game that night, whether it was good or bad, like you're playing again in 2 or 3 nights. So you have to shift that focus so quickly to the next thing that there's not a ton of time to dwell on something bad that happened or get too overexcited about, something good that happened, which I think, our team as a whole does a good job. Our staff does a good job making sure we kind of stay grounded and taking things one game at a time. And so, yeah, and I think that makes a huge difference when you kind of have everyone on that same page. And, we kind of always say, like, in some ways it's a great thing it's a long season. In other ways it's a bad thing it's a long season. But, if you have one of those nights that's not good, you're going to get another shot at it in a few days. So I think in that way, like, the mental side of it's easier in some ways as the season starts to feel long, and you have to have in mind, like, okay, when do I need to kind of take a step back for a day, or like go do something that's not hockey on an off day, or, kind of mentally get away from it, even in these like small windows of time where you don't have a ton of breaks. So I think that was kind of good, I think, to learn those things in year one. And then as more games get added, like, you've still got the experience of, and carry that into the next year.
Yeah. Jared Bednar told me once, it's great to learn lessons while you're winning. And that's a lot of what you guys did in year one. Let's just get into it. You and I were kind of laughing and joking before we started. Tiebreaker gets you guys in. What is it about having your backs against the wall?
Yeah, I don't know. Because it was a little bit different last year. We came back from the Worlds break and we needed 1 point in 5 games to just get into the playoffs, and we could not figure it out. We could not do it to save our lives. And then it was like, we were fortunate that Toronto won a game and that put us in. And then it was like, okay, now we go. And it was like a flip the switch a little bit. And then this year we were on the outside looking in with 3 games left, and we had to win 2 of the 3 in regulation. And it was the last. We ended up losing the first one in New York, and then we played Boston and Ottawa, and the goal scoring just caught fire all of a sudden, and everyone just, the switch flipped like 2 games before playoffs this year. So I don't know. I think that in some ways, like, there are just some people that when their backs are against the wall, they know how to perform. And I think our team has a lot of winners on it from a lot of different levels, be it NCAA champions of the Swedish league, like NWHL or PHF or CWHL, like Olympic world champions. We have a ton of those on our team this past year. And, just having people that know how to win is really a game changer.
Well, so I was actually going to ask about it, because as you were talking, I said, I wonder if there's any level of that, that backs against the wall, being able to, flip the script and all that on the drop of a dime, if that is some of that Olympic experience. Because obviously you and Maddie and Net and Kendall, like, do you think there's any part of that you guys are able to draw on? Like, hey, we're used to doing this in, an 8-game schedule or 7 games or whatever, being able to operate in those small windows, or am I reaching on that?
I don't know. I think, like, definitely for women's hockey, the PWHL is really the first time a lot of people have, like, a playoff series that's 5 games, as opposed to, like, the NCAA is one and done, like World Championships ends up being one and done, like all those kind of things. So I think I think that's why our team does so well, when we kind of, like, our mentality the first year, our saying as we went on in playoffs and things was win 1 game. And it was just like to just keep breaking it up into those little chunks, makes the job seem not as big and daunting if you're just focused on the one little thing. So I think in some ways, like, to have, okay, we have 2 games, this is exactly what we need to do. Like, I think that does help rein the focus in a little bit.
Yeah. And like you said, just having the winners and that is something that just for as long as I've been around the sport, I thought maybe at one point that was kind of like an overrated thing, but it's having winners and people that understand how to be in those situations makes a very real difference from what I've seen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I always say, like, if you follow Kelly Panic, Kendall Coyne Schofield, and Lee Steckline around long enough, you're bound to win some things. So that's kind of my philosophy, at least, is if you're around those three, you're probably in pretty good shape.
Pretty good shape. So yeah, I mean, however it happens, you guys get in, and that's all that matters. It's Toronto in the first round, 3-1 in that series. But I want to talk about the finals because I don't know if I can't think of the last series that I saw at any level that went every game to overtime.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I want to ask about the clinching game in a minute, but just as you are kind of progressing through this series, what's going through your head as you're watching? I mean, what was an incredibly tight series?
Yeah, it was a lot too. I mean, we were playing every other night, even with the little bit of the travel in between. So, you would have these really, like, obviously losing game one, it was like, okay, we need to regroup quickly and come back. And then game two, it's like you tie the game with under 20 seconds to go, end up winning it in overtime. And it's like, okay, that's an amazing high, but well, we're flying back home tomorrow and we play the next day. So it was kind of, again, understanding how to stay, like, enjoy the moments as they're happening, but to just, when you go to bed that night, it has to be put away and, like, on to the next. And I think our group did a really good job of that. And I think, when we were at home in those two games, you see, like, Katie Knoll and Liz Shepard scoring those big goals. Those are two people that play, like, third and fourth line roles for us most of the year. And, like, they're on the ice in overtime. They're trusted to do their job. And I think that's kind of the epitome of our team is we trust everybody to do their job, and everyone's trusted on the ice. And I think that starts, like, the net out. Like, coach trusts Maddie and I in net, and then trust everyone line 1 to 4, D pair 1 to 3, whatever it is. So I think that makes a huge difference to have that mentality in the locker room and know that your teammates and your staff believe in you.
I mean, for you as a goaltender to have someone like Maddie, that you guys are as close as you are off the ice, to be able to lean on and support each other, for folks who aren't a goalie that maybe look at, a situation where you have two players for one net that think it's competition and all. What is it like having this dynamic with Maddie?
It's so fun. Like, I think we're very much able to separate competing against each other to earn the net and helping each other do it at the same time. I think we both recognize how important it is to have two strong goaltenders, and how important it is to support each other, because it only helps the team. And I think, like, both of us are very team oriented, and we just, if you're, like, Maddie was obviously on fire in the finals, like, go get it, girl. Like, let's go win this thing. And, so I think having that is really special. And I think it was kind of cool the way it happened both years. Is I kind of played more in the finals the first year. Maddie plays more this year. And I think it just goes to show again, like, how important it is to have two people you trust, kind of like the Avs have right now too. So, I think that's just seems to be kind of becoming more of a mentality for hockey in general. It's not as much a 1-2 everywhere as much as is a 1A, 1B situation in the NHL and in the PW as well. So I think that's been something we tapped into from the beginning, and we're just, I think we were first roommates for, like, national team stuff in 2017. So we've been close for a long time. So it just works, and we just kind of roll with it. Yeah.
I like the Avs goalie tandem. They don't have two gold medalists in net, all right, but no, it is so funny because you've probably heard me talk about it before. I think it's really hard to make a 1A, 1B situation work, because there can be some of that, like, one goalie starts to struggle and the camera cuts to the backup when the puck goes in or whatever. So I do think, like, you guys are such a great example. Like, no, there's got to be synergy there, and you've got to be able to work with each other and push each other. And you guys having that background, I think, obviously helps. But it's one of the things I've been fascinated with your guys' team, is how you make that work. And then I'm sure that also helps, you deal with the injury this year. I'm sure having someone like Maddie, again, lean on and feel confident and makes you feel like you don't have to rush back or put yourself in a situation you don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for sure it was, obviously like you never want to be injured and like miss time, but, it is a good thing that it's like, we don't need to force you to play right now, like, cause we're in a hole if you don't, or something like that. Cause, cause Maddie's amazing and we'll be just fine and all of that stuff. So, I think that was like a huge advantage and, proved to be really important down the stretch to have too.
For sure. Okay, let's get into these overtime games in particular. So the triple overtime game, I believe that was the same night as one of the Avs games in Dallas. So there was actually a handful of us who were watching it on our computers, and it was actually funny because with every overtime period that it went later, you just started seeing it pop up on more screens in the press box. I believe that ended up being the longest game in PW history. Is that right?
I think Ottawa played in another one against Montreal in their first round.
Yep.
I think that one was. Did that one go to 4?
That one might have gone to 4. That went 4, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, either way, a triple OT game in the final is ridiculous. What was that night like for you?
Well, we were really thankful that it was like I think it was a 5 p.m. start rather than like a 7 p.m. start. It was kind of funny is like you kept coming back out to the ice and you're like, all right, people are still here. Like we're still doing this. So there was a little humor in it, but it was just one of those things where, I think Michaela Cava coined the term frostery this year. She was like, all right, who's going to do it? Who's going to go down in frostery with this goal right here? Like, let's get it. So that was it was kind of, one of those pick-me-up things you're kind of doing between periods. You've got, like, they're coming in with all of the electrolytes and eat this, eat that, get sugar, do this, do that. And, so it was crazy to just how long it was, how long it went. And, I got to enjoy watching phenomenal goaltending at both ends. So if there's going to be a 6-period game, that's how I'd want it to be rather than crazy scoring personally. But, and you come back in after and you're so excited. And we came back in and there's just pizza boxes everywhere. And they had ordered in smoothies and all this stuff. And they're just like, eat everything, eat it right now. Like, no, don't even cool down first. Get this in your system and get home. Like it was kind of crazy. It was just so different than anything I've ever been a part of. So it was pretty cool. And
then, like you said, the craziness about that is like, yep, cool, 1 day recovery, and then let's get back at it.
Yeah.
As the clinching game goes into overtime, how much is the incident from last year going through your head?
Well,
or is it at all?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think like the incident was, but they had told us before that game, like there was a list of things they kind of read you, like if you win, this and this happens, if like whatever. And it's one of those things where like me as a player, I'm like I barely listen to that stuff because I'm just like, no, we're just gonna focus on like what's going on right here. But one of the things that was said was if the game goes to overtime, like do not leave the bench. Oh. Like, and we were like, oh, I wonder where that rule came from. And so then you can kind of see it if you watch the replay of everyone coming on the ice. Everyone's looking around like, are we supposed to be out here? Too late. Like we're going. So thankfully it didn't happen again. It would have been some real trauma for our fans having to deal with that for two game 4s in a row. But it was. Yeah, everyone was just, you could see it. You see everybody's head turned in the video. Like, are you going? I'm going. Okay, let's go.
It's no joke. It was the first thing I paid attention to when the puck went in. I was like, all right, how do they all react?
Yeah.
Because and I don't know if I ever got to talk to you about that from last year. So I just, real quick, let's take a tiny little detour here. I've never seen anything like, I mean, that's the worst case scenario that everyone talks about, right?
Yeah.
A video replay in overtime of a cup clinching game. Just real quick, oh my gosh, how crazy was that?
It feels like just yesterday that happened, honestly, because I remember, like, from my perspective, I see Soph shoot the puck in tight, I see the puck go in, and we're all rushing the bench, and Maddie and I end up hugging before we reach the group, and everyone's kind of, obviously hugging, right. Celebration, stuff's everywhere. And I kind of remember I happened to turn and I was hugging somebody and over their shoulder I could see Hillary Knight talking to the official at center ice. And I just, like, reached back into the pile, and I was like, Kendall, something's going on up there. Like, you better go check it out. And so Kendall goes up there, and they start showing the replay. And Maddie and I both look at each other. We're like, ooh, this isn't going to count. Yeah. And one of the girls, like, goes, what are they going to do, make us put our gear back on? Like, no way. And I was like, that is exactly what they are going to do. Yeah. Like, yes. So, yeah, it was towards the end of the overtime period. So it was one of those things where it was like, okay, if we can get to the locker room and just, like, regroup, I think we'll be okay. And I think, honestly, Elena Mueller came down and just had, like, a great shot over my glove, like, before we were able to do that. So it was kind of weird, the on-ice experience. And then the locker room, like, I've never heard our locker room that quiet.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it wasn't, like, a bad quiet. It was just, like, a, like, what just happened type
processing,
thing.
Yeah.
And then kind of, you could just tell, like, as the room started kind of moving around, people doing different things, I don't know, there just felt like, at least to me, or I processed it this way, it was, like, a very collective, like, we're fine, we got to go to Boston, that's fine. Like, and you could just, I mean, from there on out, I was just like, we got this. Like, it just felt very calm and confident.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a really weird situation, but, yeah, we made the most of it.
Yeah, no kidding. And like I said, sorry to take us back.
Oh, that's okay.
I've been dying to talk to you about that for over a year now, because that was so crazy. But no, I mean, that was something that was going through my head watching you guys as you were celebrating this year. And obviously this year that goal was never in question. Like, you know, that it was obvious that one was going to count. But I did wonder if that was going through any of your guys' heads of like, double check, make sure no one's talking about, okay.
Yeah, we're like,
good. Yeah.
Everyone's out here. Okay. Everyone's out here. Let's do it.
I mean, I guess just, you know, Nicole, for you, again, one of the things that really stuck with me when we talked last year, I think it was after you guys had won, was you saying, like, you know, it's hard to grasp because winning the Walter Cup wasn't anything you ever dreamed about growing up. It wasn't a thing, you know, but you've gotten to be, you were a key part in getting the league off the ground, you know, a founding member, first goalie drafted, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And now here you are, you got a beautiful ring on your finger there.
Yeah.
And the Walter Cup sitting in between us again. Just, have you had a chance to, you know, kind of step back, take a moment and think about where you've landed and how you've gotten to this point?
I don't know. I think this year I feel like for our team and maybe me individually a little bit was a little bit more trying than the first year. It was a little bit more difficult. Just, you know, we were like last year our team came out so hot and we won a lot of games early, which ended up being like so important for us in the end to have done that. And we kind of were just more up and down throughout the year. Like, I don't know that we strung three wins together until round one. Like, we hadn't done that all year. And so I think that, like, this one felt, like, more rewarding in that way, that it felt like we went through a more difficult path, felt like it was a little bit more difficult a year for me personally. So that kind of made this feel rewarding in a different way than the first one did. Yeah. But I think also winning it at home this year, in some sense, to be able to stand on the ice, and I think we were around 13,000 people there for that game. And, you know, when you win it away, like, people leave or stay, or it's, you know, they're not cheering for you necessarily there. So to kind of have that experience at home now and just see the crazy crowd and the purple and how many people were there in general, and just, I feel like that experience, like, I did take a step back kind of on the ice to, like, take that in, because it was kind of like, this is what it looks like when, like, an NHL team wins the cup. Like, this is how it's supposed to look. You've got all the cameras lined up on the ice. You've got this big presentation with, like, the, not fireworks, but the whatever they're called. Yeah, those things going crazy, the confetti. Like, it all just looked how it's supposed to look. And that was, I think, really cool to, I don't know, in some ways I was, not that it wasn't real last year. We had a lot of those things last year, but it just being at home and that many people there, it was like, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
I 100%. And something else that I believe when we were in Ottawa talking, One of the things that you said was like, this has all been so crazy. 2 years ago, we were hoping that someone would give us tape, and now here we've got all this. And to your point, I had to imagine that the moment you're describing right there kind of ties into all of that. Like, man, I just wanted tape a few years ago. And now here we are with the cameras lined up and the confetti and like sparklers. I don't know what to call
sparklers, maybe that's the word.
And just all that and the fans and the jerseys. Like I just can't imagine what that moment is like for not just you, but all of you guys, to just see where the game is at.
Yeah. I think it's really rewarding to see where the game's gotten to and know that like it's going to continue to press forward even when some of the founding members, as we all get a little bit older and start to retire, and know that like the next generation is set up to, come right into a pro league out of college and have that ability to develop like right in front of them. And it's just so cool to think where the game will be in 10, 15 years, to just like, if you want something to get better, like you have to put the resources into it.
Mm-hmm.
And now that those resources are there, it's just going to be like how far can the game go when the only thing women have to focus on is hockey.
Right.
So
I'm going to be vague with this story, but I think people will be able to pretty quickly deduce who I'm talking about here. There's a player who played for the Avs a couple years ago whose younger sister was in college. Very good player. And we were talking to him in the locker room, like, oh, what's her next move? And this was before the PW had even been announced. And he had told us, oh, she's getting her degree in this so she can go get a job in, this type of, office setting. And the other guy who was standing there talking, he said, oh, she's not going to pursue, playing. He goes, I think she's going to go for one Olympic cycle, see if she can make the team, and then she's probably done. And he goes, there's just not really a path for him. And she got drafted a couple weeks ago. And I was so excited watching that just because of what it represents. Everything that you're talking about, that the last time I talked to someone about this player, it was, oh yeah, she's planning for, life after hockey. You're a college-age kid, and they're talking about planning for life after hockey, and she just got picked a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
A week ago. I don't even know what time it is anymore. But, she just got picked in the draft, and it's exactly what you're talking about of, like, there's a path now, and you can focus on that and set that as this can be something that you dream about now, growing up as a young woman playing hockey.
Yeah, I think it's so cool because, like, yeah, growing up I wanted to play for the Avs, and like, I mean, I'd still love to play for the Avs, I guess, but but like there just wasn't, like, you had the Olympic team and a national team, but it was like it didn't register for me early on as a kid exactly what that was, and like I didn't quite understand it. So I think it's so much easier for people to grasp, like, oh, this is the Minnesota Frost, they play where the Minnesota Wild play, they do what the Minnesota Wild do. Like, I think it's easier for kids to make that correlation and then be like, oh, well, if, somebody can grow up and want to be Marc-Andre Fleury, like somebody can grow up and want to be like Maddie Rooney or Nicole Hensley too. Yeah. Like, so I think that's it's easier to make those connections, I think, like, then it's accessible, and it's on YouTube, it's on local TV stations in the different markets. Like, if you see it, then you've got more of a chance of people like latching onto it and wanting to be a part of it. Yeah. Then some of those things like national team levels just aren't picked up that way.
Right. And like in a small way, like you can go buy a Minnesota Frost jersey, a Team USA jersey, like in the Olympic cycles, the women wear the same one as the men, and usually the World Junior guys wear that right after. And so yeah, you can go get a Nicole Hensley Minnesota Frost jersey, and like you said, that's a real tangible thing that's just different than it used to be.
Yeah, and I think that it's actually been interesting to watch, like, be it young guys or girls, like, they register in Minnesota when we're going to the rink to do different things. Like, when they see the purple, it clicks with them what that is. Like, one of my teammates had told me, like, I've been carrying my USA hockey bag around for years, and I've never had anyone ask me about it. I take my Frost bag somewhere and people are like, you play for the Frost.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I don't know, it just seems to register with people in a different way. And I think that's just huge for the game, to have something that you can look and see any day of the week and it's right there in front of you.
Totally. And then kind of just winding down here, fun events that you've got going on this weekend. You brought the cup back to Denver last year, and we were lucky enough to be able to hang out with you and follow you around downtown and Little Man and all that. And it seems like a lot of the stuff that you want to do is very Colorado. What does it mean for you to be able to represent this state at the level that you do, internationally and all that stuff, but now just, from the lens that you were just talking about of, it being that tangible thing and being able to be someone that, girls who are playing youth hockey here in Colorado can look up to?
Yeah, I think I love being able to say that I'm from here. I love being able to come back to Colorado and, do hockey things here and do everything else that it offers. Like, I convinced Maddie that her bachelor party should be in Breckenridge this year. So I'm always putting feelers out there. But I think it's so cool to just see the game's come so far since I was a kid. There was one girls association when I first started playing, and we didn't know about it when I first started. So I just started playing boys, and to see now there's so many different options for girls in Colorado that's huge, because if you can get a girl to be, whether they want to play with the boys, play with the girls, do both, whatever it is, the more options there are, the more likely you are to have more girls stay in it for longer, which is just great for the game in general. And I think I like to put a little Colorado flavor on all the things we do with Walter. So it should be a pretty fun weekend, and gonna continue to put that little spin on it.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I was telling you, I think the last time we talked, that I went through, and I don't think there's a more decorated player from Colorado, men's or women's, than you. So you gotta make sure you have that little bit of spice on there, right?
Yes, always.
Colorado spice. No, you just mentioned there's they started doing girls hockey night at Ball Arena for Avs games, and it is crazy how many programs are, how many different jerseys. The number of players isn't surprising to me. It's how many programs are, because it was Colorado Women's Select when I was a kid. That was the only program. Yep. And now there has to be a dozen different teams, programs, whatever.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, because even when we were here for the takeover game, I think some people were surprised how well the game did, and I was just I just wasn't. I knew how far the game's come. I knew, we're about to have a women's soccer team here too. So I just knew that Denver's very much primed to be a women's sports city. And so I just wasn't surprised at all with how it did. And it was so cool to see. Yeah. Cause when I was going to national team games, when they would play, I think they played 2 or 3 here when I was growing up, and you didn't see very many different jerseys. It was all the same one, and now there are so many, and it's cool to see how far it's come and how it'll continue to grow.
Yeah, it's awesome, and that's one thing I talk about the people here. My number one thing is growing the game and just telling as many people as I can how awesome hockey is.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing here in Colorado. That's all I got for you.
Right.
We're so excited to have Walter back in the house and to get to be a part of this weekend with you again. And like I was telling you, and Megan texted me while we were going here, we are all just so proud of you. Represent Colorado so well, and so yeah, it's an honor to have you here, Nicole.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate you be willing to podcast with me every time we come back here.
You have an open invite. You can be on every episode if you want. We
I love that.
We do need to have you on more to talk goalies and stuff like that before your guys' season gets started and all that stuff.
We should.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure. Awesome.
I'm in.
2-time Walter Cup champion Nicole Hensley. Thanks so much.
Thank you.